What up, y'all? This is the Talking Shit Podcast, episode number 58. I am Dr. Evil Genius.
And I am Captain Paul. How's it going, Evil Man? What's going on with you today, brother?
Yeah, man. We were talking before we went live today, and I was saying to you, man, I feel so galvanized when it comes to content creation. Like, we've seen a lot of recent success. We experienced some friction on the platform for the first time that I can remember. And it just kind of galvanizes me to create content. Now, last night, I was on a live stream with Louis Rossman over on his live stream channel.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were talking about some really absurd stuff, right? Got to watch my language in the first minutes of the stream. Thank you, YouTube, for shitting on free speech. Okay, so, and we had someone in the comments section who is a moderator, who was trolling really heavy. A lot of sign language. Sign language, for those that don't know what that is, it's an acronym that stands for shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. SIGN. Lots and lots of sign language, lots of shaming words, because I was basically just saying what most men have been saying in quiet corners away from mixed company. And just say, hey, this is how guys feel, and this is what guys want, and these are the things that guys are experiencing. And the only thing that I got back was shaming tactics, mockery. Oh, who wears a hat in the house? I'm like, I mean, as we've already experienced recently, like, if you want to make fun of like the way that I look, like, you're barking up the wrong tree, because I don't give a fuck. Like, please bring all the fucking insults you want. Like, it doesn't faze me at all. So, the only thing I'm thinking about is the psychological profile that I'm putting together on you. You're just giving me information that I can use to make myself better and to learn how to avoid people like you. So, I wasn't really particularly impressed by how this lady carried herself. But we were, the subject kind of bled into talking about the passport pros. There was a gentleman in the comment section that asked what our opinions of the passport pros. Lewis didn't really know anything about that, but you know me, man. I'm out in these YouTube streets, son. And so it just so happens that It's Complicated released a video, because It's Complicated is a really good channel. The link is already in the description. I did not. Hey, Dan, how you doing, man? Good to see you. He's, Dan always takes care of us over here. So yeah. The It's Complicated channel basically goes through the streets of Las Vegas, asking very difficult questions and letting people speak for themselves. And then when they give their opinions, he'll ask a very thought-provoking question that more often than not kind of catches people in their cognitive dissonance or in their preconceived biases. So it just so happens they released a video today, and I said, I am going to react to this shit. And we're going to cover it today. So, as a disclaimer, I have one woman in the country. She's in the chat, doing her welcoming party thing, because she's a great hostess, both virtually and in real life. So shout out to the number one lady, Mrs. Evil. How you doing? Yeah, so she is here from the United States. And the second lady that does all the great thumbnails that you see and, edits our videos, she's foreign. But she was a passport woman because she left her country and came over here and met me here. Okay. Shout out to Mrs. Evil. All right. So, Captain Paul here. Go ahead and let the people know where your lady is from.
I'm a normal person, so from the USA. USA. I date people around my area. I don't fly them in like Doctor Evil and hold them against their will. But but yeah.
Yeah, the
Literally,
woman. She compared me to Andrew Tate.
shout
I
out
mean,
to
what?
Romania.
I mean, you're doing something right when people say that you're just like the person that you don't respect and you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
when you told me that, that was kind of comical because we both do not like Andrew Tate, and that was kind of the comical part from that.
You know what was funny? Cap, before this whole thing blew up with him, right? And we spoke about covering certain topics because you want to grow the platform, right?
Right.
Okay. What was my original policy when it came to even saying the man's name on the platform?
Absolutely not allowed. You can't say it. We're not talking about the frauds in Florida. We're not talking about the bald Romanian. We're not going to bring it up on the channel. The other reason we do now is because shit, like he's in some hot water, and we've had a video on the channel just discussing it. But I mean,
Right.
when it kind of comes down to it, and I'll just put my viewpoint, my opinion out there regarding someone that's attacking you or attacking how you look, when they can't attack the ideas and they can't attack your logic behind a subject, when they reduce themselves to just have ad hominem attacks, you won.
Yeah, I already won. That's why, like, a lot of the times you get the trolls coming, just kind of like, you're scared. Nope, I just don't care, because the thing is, and I recognize what was happening last night in real time.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to pull me out of myself and then make me have an emotional reaction so that she can point and say, look at that fragile masculinity. Look at all. It's like, listen, I'm only going to ask you once to speak with me with respect and to argue in good faith. I'm only going to ask once, and then I'm just going to ignore you. And it really does kind of go right into this whole phenomena of the passport bros. For those that don't really understand what the passport bros are, these are guys that have tried relentlessly to have fruitful social romantic relationships with the opposite sex here in the United States. And no matter what they do to either find success or to find a place where we can at least get some understanding, they're met with vitriol, they're met with shame, they're met with insults, all these kinds of things, fear tactics, all these types of games playing, the foodie calls, and all of these kind of things. And they're like, you know what? Maybe if I went somewhere else, I can find somebody that will actually appreciate me instead of playing a bunch of nonsensical games.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were able to find a nice American woman, but we've talked about on this platform some of the absurd experiences that you've had with women as a white man.
Yeah.
That has a full beard in America.
Yep. I mean, listen. Back in the day, when your boy was probably 40 pounds lighter, lifting weights, it's a lot of crazy shit back in the day. But yeah, I mean, when it kind of comes down to it, it really is finding like the diamond in the rough. And with my to be wife, she's been amazing. You know what I mean? She's very feminine. She's very into supporting me and kind of being the caretaker. I provide for her, and it's just she's phenomenal. She's one of the most special people I've met in my life. But that is not to say that they're before her. Oof, it was rough. It was rough out in these streets. I couldn't even take a shit in the toilet.
That's my favorite story. I was hoping he was gonna bring that up.
Couldn't even take a goddamn shit in the toilet without being an issue. Like, knocking on the door, like, What are you doing in there? No, like, what do you think? What am I cashing a check? I'm taking a shit. Like, what do you think? But like, but you know, there's some crazies out there, and there's some cuckoos, and there's some women, especially with my field, that try to gold dig. You know what I mean? Like they want the money off the rip because they know the field I'm going in, and they're like, oh shit, like, oh, you're gonna be working on these boats. You're gonna like that's a lot of money. And then you see the patterns because I remember that one chick, and I broke it off after the whole shitting thing. But I remember the one time she broke. So when are you gonna buy me a house? And I was like, buy you a house. I'm gonna buy me a house, and then we'll see where things go. And she didn't like that answer, but I was like, you know, and that
she's
was like,
already telling you she's trying to rape you in a divorce.
Exactly, bro. So that was just kind of the red flag. But the final nail in the coffin was trying to, you know, deposit something down in the toilet, and hey, knocking on the door, and then I can't believe it. All right, I guess I don't shit. I guess men aren't allowed to shit in bathrooms anymore. But you know,
that is by far my favorite story.
And you know, it's absolutely wild. But you know, men have to deal with a lot of crazy stuff these days, and it's like even when it comes to just approaching a woman, it can be viewed as creepy or predatory.
Now the dudes are not even approaching the women, and they're still being called creeps.
Yeah, I mean, like that one chick that was like lifting weights in a gym, filming herself, and some dude that's just like racking up weights and doing his own thing, and just glances like, "Oh my god, he's so creepy." He's looking at like, no, you're like, get over yourself.
You know what's the worst part about that, Cap? About that whole situation? She set up that camera and purposely got him in the frame because she wasn't there to film her workout. She was there to try to catch somebody.
Yeah. I just think
fucking shameful, man.
It's just cringy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very real with you. It's extremely cringy, and I'm not here for it. But we have an interesting video though.
Yeah. So I want to also give a special shout out to it's Tay Tay Baby. She is a woman that I think I was looking at clips of that she was posting on TikTok. She has a YouTube channel with, drum roll please, 225,000 subscribers. Right. Damn. Now, she right in her bio, it's I advocate for men and mental health. Like the straight out the gate, right? And you're starting to get more of these women that are stepping up, and they're trying to make a difference, because one of my criticisms for the modern woman today, and this is the majority of women, the majority of women do not agree with the man hate. The problem is they don't say anything to refute the nonsense that's coming from the loud minority. So when societal rules end up being changed, they get mad. Oh, where are all the real men? Oh, I'm going to go look lost in Home Depot so I can find a husband. Well, you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't let the radical feminist take over the entire conversation and speak for you without you providing any kind of pushback. So that is the criticism that I have, because again, and I've said this, I'll keep saying this, we are red pill aware here on TSP, but the difference between us and the viewpoints that are espoused by some of the more popular platforms is that here we actually agree that there are at least 50% plus one women in our country that are worth dealing with in a romantic sense. Yeah. So greater than half. I don't know what the percentage is. It's just greater than 50.0%, in my opinion, just based upon everything that I've seen, and also what I understand about how the brain kind of prioritizes information. Your brain, your lizard brain, cares most about survival before all. So a lot of the positive experiences that you have or that you observe, your brain is going to mark those things as low priority. The stuff that hurts, the things that cause you pain, the things that make you feel unsafe or in danger, your brain is going to hold on to those experiences more readily because that information is more important to your survival. So in a lot of these situations, we categorize the negative experiences that we have and some of our observations, and we say, oh, that is the majority of blank. I don't believe that, because if I'm able to take a step back and say, yo, I've had some really bad experiences with women, but I've also had some pretty good experiences with women. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, you're 6'3", you're a personal trainer, you're this, you're that. I'm pretty sure a lot of the guys that struggle with women have had good experiences, and they're quick to forget them because their mind harps on the negative.
Absolutely. Well, because think about it, it's within human nature to cling on to the negative experiences, right? You know, because like for example, that crazy story I brought up about that one chick, dude. I've had like so many more really enjoyable, where it's just either we just diverted, just kind of for whatever reason, just natural, just weren't a fit, and things kind of go the way they go. And I feel like, and I'll just say this quickly about dating, I feel the vocal minority of insane women drown out a lot of the rational, really good women that men are missing out on. You know what I mean? So for every single crazy TikTok about one bitch like drinking her own period blood to like attract a mate, like there's a million other women that are more irrational that realize that's not something they should be ingesting. So that's my fucking take on that.
Yeah. And I think that we are largely in agreement. So without further ado, Tay Tay is the first guest. So we're going to look at the questions that she is asked here, and we'll get right into it.
Women in other cultures and how they treat their men.
Ooh, I think foreign women treat their men great. They have traditional values. They cook for them. They clean for them, and they know their roles.
I feel like in other cultures, a lot of women are more submissive.
Define other cultures. Are we talking like where woman is like the housekeeper and men do the work, but the women serve the men? Because those women, they're doing a job, but I don't want to do that job.
Is a little bit more stricter on women, so like they can't.
Hold on a second. I hit the wrong button here. We're gonna let this woman talk. We're gonna let this woman talk a little bit, because, again,
Submissive.
Define other cultures. Are we talking like where woman is like the housekeeper and men do the work, but the women serve the men? Because those women, they're doing a job, but I don't want to do that job.
I mean, well, that's her choice, but when it kind of comes down to it, if you're gonna want, and this is the thing, right? And this is my biggest thing, and I don't know what she wants. Maybe she wants a guy that's the caretaker instead. Maybe she wants to work. I mean, that to me, just personally, it's different. I couldn't do that. But when it kind of comes down to it, you can't expect to get somebody that's like a high earner, very driven, if you're not willing to take a step back and fill the needs while he provides. That's just the cold hard truth of it. Because if you're going to want to have a family, someone's going to have to be around to help with the kids. And my personal opinion, I don't know about yours, they're evil, but a nanny and a maid does not get rid of, and does not make it so that you can't have interaction with your kids. Let me just up the gain a bit. Is that better?
No, you're just too far from the mic.
Oh, sorry. Well, whatever. Yeah. My hip's acting up. But yeah, I think when it kind of comes down to it is that you just got to, she's got to understand that if this is the relationship you want, she doesn't want to do any of the chores and stuff like that. Well, she's going to have to find herself a house husband. She's not going to be able to find a guy that's a high earner, in my opinion.
And what's really funny about that? The thing that really stuck out to me about her words here is the way that she tried to minimize those women. And the funny thing is, I keep hearing about women's empowerment and the sisterhood. And anytime they get a chance to throw shade on a woman who is happy to be family oriented, anytime they get a chance to throw an insult on those women, they take that opportunity. Blind Bat says she's also a woman that don't want no kids. She's a me person all the time. She is very clear when you look at just her whole approach to everything. This woman cares about herself, and herself primarily. Okay? And so in her mind, she's like, well, if I do something for anybody other than myself, then I'm not empowered. Now, you also look at her, she looks like she's in her mid to late 20s. She has not hit the wall yet. Not yet. Right? So she believes that she still has a lot of options, and she believes that she is in control of the situation. And I would love to talk to her 10 years from now.
Is a little bit more stricter on women, so like they can't really like do what they want to as far as going outside and like having fun and stuff in other cultures as much as they can in America.
Now,
So like, are they chained up like dogs? Like what? You can't go outside, can't eat.
no, that's not really what she means. She
I know,
means
no. Just the
she's
phrasing
talking
of it.
about riding. She's talking about riding the CC. You're not allowed to just go out there, throw your butt cheeks around and make it clap in the streets, or stand on somebody's table at a restaurant and make it do what it do in somebody else's place of business. You're not allowed to just do whatever you want without consequence. That's what she means.
Do you think those women are ignorant slaves, or are they happy?
I think they're doing what they need to do to get by. I think they're doing what they think they're supposed to.
I think what they're supposed to. So essentially, she's scared of that because she doesn't want to seem like she's shitting on them, but belittling them at the same time.
Yeah.
You get that? Like that's out of pocket. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
and the
it
thing is, it's the low level of respect that they have for women that do the things that lead to things like the birth of women like her, right? Like, you want to denigrate the woman that has children, but imagine if your mother decided not to have children and not to be a wife.
Yeah.
Where would you be?
Not alive. So it's fucking.
Yeah, if Captain Paul never says anything imperfectly.
I always say it perfectly.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh no, they're not ignorant slaves. I believe most of them are happy and stuff. My grandma's a traditional woman and she's very happy. So
they treat their men very well. They actually worship their men. I see a lot of standing behind their men, waiting for their men. Even just the other day, I saw this lady get out of her Uber, leaving her husband in a car, and just walked away. I wouldn't see that in a Eastern country or a more egalitarian country.
Now, he said the magic word. He said worship the men and stand behind the men. Do you know why that stood out to me? When I first watched this video, the first thing I thought was a woman that stands behind her man in everything, right? When you think about this, they're like, well, I'm going to stand behind my man. I'm going to support my man no matter what, right? I've never been the perfect husband. Mrs. Evil stands behind me regardless, right? Both actually thing one and thing two, as she likes to call both of them. They both stand behind me, whether my views may not be so kind or whatever the situation is. They stand behind me and they support what I do, and they'll give me correction when they think it's necessary. Because they also know that when the shit hits the fan, guess where they'll be?
Yeah.
Standing behind me. Right? I'm the one that's going to be the meat shield. So when you think about the effiness woman, the blonde, and she's a fake blonde, you could tell because her eyebrows and her hair are not the same
Right.
color. She does. I don't want to do that job, but when the dude in the ski mask comes through with the knife, she's not going to stand in front of you and try to protect you. She's not going to do that. No, that's a man's job.
Well, Bill Burr had.
I don't want to do that job either.
Bill Burr had the perfect comedy skit on that. You know, like when a fire's breaking out, you know, the biggest, most raunchy feminists with short haircut, they would find those short little hair strands and put into a pink tie. Oh, I'm just a girl. I'm not going to do anything. And just like stand behind the men. That's what it is, bro. I mean, quite frankly, when emergencies and those type of situations come out with confrontation, they stand behind the men, and there's nothing wrong with that. But certain women just don't want to accept that. You know,
Right.
they want to
Right.
be equal with none of the consequences of being a man.
And that doesn't sound quite equal to me, Cap.
Nope.
I think it's because they want to. The only reason why I'm gonna say that is because of the way they're brought up. They're told differently to actually do certain things for that man that just comes second nature.
Because they want to. Like nobody out there like force girls. They're free. Like the girls like choose to do it. Nobody's forcing no one.
Countries that aren't necessarily third world don't have as many doesn't have as much infrastructure or as many opportunities or as many options. So it kind of forces the woman and the people there to kind of follow structures that are a little bit more traditional and a little bit more natural to them.
That's really interesting. And this is why this is. When you're talking about third world versus first world. Okay. You're saying that these women don't have as many options, so they do what comes natural to them. Do you know why women in the first world are able to act like they don't need men? Because men built the societies to make it the first world that allows them the options to go out there and disrespect the same type of men that built their world to be as easy to live in as it is.
Fair point.
And we're going to do this on the backs of men. I don't need no man. I make X number of dollars. Well, how do you make your X number of dollars? Well, I sit at a desk and look at a computer. Who made the desk? Who made the computer? Who created the idea for the company that you work at? Okay. Where did the electricity come from? When you go to the restroom to use your toiletries and your lady stuff, and it disappears, and you don't have to deal with the ick. Who created the system, and who did all of that stuff? Who allows you the opportunity to feel like you don't need men? Men.
Yeah.
Do you think those women are ignorant slaves or are they happy?
They're happy. Happiness is when you can have a family and you can grow something from scratch, from nothing.
Why do you think so many men are traveling overseas to find wives in other countries?
Men are traveling overseas to find wives. Why? I'm right here. I'm single.
I really want you to pay attention to that, folks. Pay attention. Remember that she had that response to that.
No,
Why? I want to be married.
Right, but I'm saying, do you typically see women traveling overseas to
Men
find
are
husbands?
traveling overseas to countries that have less money and less education. It's because they want a woman who is dependent on them for their livelihood, for their resources, to have a good life. And I don't think that that is a good thing.
So she just said, I want to be married. and then she's like, oh, wait, that's right. I want to be married. I'm not married. Why am I not married? Wait, they're going over to foreign women. Oh, let's disrespect those foreign women.
Listen, let's call it what it is. You essentially just called them fucking stupid and that they're beneath her. And, oh, I'm single. I'm like, well, maybe your personality, maybe you aren't able to fit a certain role. I mean, quite frankly, most men don't want a woman that's trying to wear the pants in the relationship. Right? Is that crazy to fucking say?
On a balance of probabilities, not possibilities, on a balance of probabilities, you are correct, sir.
No.
The majority of men do not want to be subservient to women and also be their protectors, meat shields, and all that stuff. No.
And this is kind of someone that's like, I'll be honest with you. Barely know her just from this first little bit. She seems like one of those women that's like, bro, what's up, dude? So, bro, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I just get that type of vibe, and I'm like, ugh.
I get a different vibe, Cap.
Oof. What vibe you get?
She's intolerable. She is not a joyful person to be around. So as much as she wants to be married, and she has 0 men vetting her, 0 men, as evidenced by her reaction to that question. And then, as she is claiming, as she basically just explained that she is hopelessly alone, right? Involuntarily alone. She then goes and actually displays why she's alone.
Absolutely.
A lot of the men I know that
chick too.
You said what?
It's not even like she's an ugly chick too. Like it really shouldn't be hard for her to
shit.
have somebody.
But yeah,
keep going.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Cap. If we bring it back just a little bit, she's probably, without, the bullshit and the sour taste that's left in my mouth just from hearing her talk and the raspiness of her voice.
Jesus Christ.
Right? She sounds like the white female Jadakiss. I probably would give her a good 6,
I'd give her a 7.
The high end of average.
I'd give her a 7. She's a pretty girl.
Yeah. What type of shit is that to jump to, quote, well, they're uneducated and poor, so of course they fall for these sinister men, end quote. That's a lot of assumptions. And remember, this is the class of people like, don't assume my gender, don't assume this, don't assume. And the first thing they do is that.
Yep.
Why is it so evil to get a wife in another country? And David, I'm just going to put it to you in just the coldest terms possible. The men that are leaving the country are their 5th through 18th options. They're the beta male friend zone orbiters, the guys that they're really not interested in. But after they finish riding the CC with the hot guys that they want to lock down but can't, because those hot guys are also being chased by a bunch of other women. And these women demand sexual exclusivity and monogamy. When they cross 30, which she looks like she's right in that kind of early to mid 30s, right? The phone stops ringing. The DMs kind of dry up a little bit, right? You're not seeing as many blue check marks. You're going to see more of the men that you're not really interested in. And then as you get older, you're like, damn, these are the only options left. But if those guys go to another country and you get married, then who's going to be your plan B or your plan C or plan H?
I mean, I'm going to bring up a comment here by Dan Jensen, because I think this is actually a point we've talked about on the channel. He said, children today, and for a long time, haven't had male figures in their upbringing. It's a big problem for men as they need manly input as they grow. Hope I get that correct. Remember, I'm from Denmark. No, you're actually right there on the point. You've been having the court system. You've been having even media. You've been having a lot of different, I would say, mediums kind of belittle the male role model, belittle the father figure. And we've had a big divorce rate in the United States of America. You're having, I mean, quite frankly, growing up, I'm the only friend of mine that's parents are still together.
You know how narcissistic that sounded?
Yeah.
I'm the only friend of mine.
Uh,
What the fuck is wrong with you, Cap?
no, but out of all my friends, I'm the only ones whose parents are still together, right? And I think that kind of comes down to it affects development at a stage, because I feel like I'm not trying to jump to conclusions, but a male role model and a father figure isn't just important for just the boys. It's important for the girls as well. And I mean a positive male father figure, you know what I'm saying? Because then they learn how to act and how to, treat a man to keep a man. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to add something to what Dan Jensen had to say, Cap. He said, it's a big problem for men as they need manly input as they grow. Do you know who probably needs it even more than the males? The females. They need to actually have an influence in their lives that teaches them structure, that you can't just do whatever you want without consequence. The song from Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Yeah.
They want to live carefree lives. They don't want to have any real responsibilities, and that's fine. But you need to actually have access to someone very close to you in your life who's very willing to take on these responsibilities and teach you what responsibilities actually are in this world. And, you know, all of this, you know, feel good stuff is fucking worthless. I get it. So she's preemptively mad that she can't have someone to shit all over in 10 years when nobody wants her.
Facts.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I've made it very, very clear. You know, I was over on Lutch's platform, and I made this point in the comments section as well. Guys, never be a woman's 8th pick, ever. Never be a woman's fallback plan, her plan D, her plan F after her 20s gets an F for a failing grade. Don't come over and give and pass her on to the next grade in her 30s and 40s when she didn't do right by herself in the 20s. Don't do it. Because when a woman talks about the rules that she has for men, they do not apply to the men that she is truly into. And I've experienced this. In fact, I have a friend I just talked to 2 days ago who's been like really into me since we met. She was a client of mine several years ago. And even she admitted the shit that she's putting up with from the guy in her life, if the dude was 6 inches shorter, less good looking, she would not be putting up with none of this shit. Right? I asked Mrs. Evil the other night about the same thing, and she confirmed the same shit. Women don't have the same ground rules for men they're really truly interested in. All the hoops of flame that guys have to show that they're truly interested, only for the guys that she's not into.
Yeah.
Right? She has to be, and I hate to use this word, she has to be kind of coerced. She's not, when we talk about enthusiastic consent, those are only for the guys well over 6 feet tall with a lot of money and a lot of game. That's the most enthusiastic consent that you'll get. Everything else is kind of like, meh, take it or leave it. That's how they are. And they have the right to be that way. But, you know, remember that 80% of women want the top 20% of men. So that means that 3 out of 4 of you will have a lot of cats and boxed wine.
I don't think that is a good thing.
A lot of the men I know that go overseas to find wives are not great dudes.
Can you be more specific?
Yeah, they're pervy.
What? What are you, 5? What, you've never sucked a dick before? Like, what's going on here? Like, they're pervy. What is that? Like, what are they just grabbing ass in the middle of the street? Just fucking going to Pound Town in the middle of the fucking interstate? Like, explain. Does that make any sense to you? They're pervy? Like, is it a bad thing for a male to be sexually into you? I mean, is that where we're at in this age? Like that's just so stupid. That was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. So you're saying because they're pervy, either you've never been fucked right, or 2, you're against porn or something like that. You had someone in your ex that was like a porn addict. I don't know.
Nah, but she's pro OnlyFans though.
Well, yeah, but remember, that's just women empowerment.
Right.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah. Well, I read it a different way, Cap. I read that clip a different way. I read it as she does not interact with men at all. So the only thing she has to fall back on are empty tropes that are just repeated verbatim that she gets from her echo chamber of a bunch of women who hate men, and they hate the fact that they have these lustful feelings for the exact type of men that they claim to hate. They hate that about themselves. There's an internal conflict there, but then there's also a lack of exposure there where she doesn't know any men. And it's very clear. Like, you look at her, she has like these views that don't come with
She looks like she just came out of a woman studies course.
Right.
You
Like
know
she
what I
doesn't
mean?
have the experience, she doesn't have the perspective, and she doesn't speak with the actual force of authority of someone that actually has experience and knows. She does not know any men. She doesn't talk to men because she was told in college to hate men because they're all going to violate you one way or another. And so she just kind of stands off to the side, living in fear.
What are your thoughts on 90?
Let's just say this hypothetically, and we'll keep the clip going after this.
Mhm.
Let's say all the men she knows were like that, right? Let's say they're all pervy.
Does she have any brothers?
Maybe you don't hang out with the right fucking people. Maybe you should look inward and why you are drawn to something you hate. Do you hate yourself? I mean, there's greater questions here at bay, in my opinion. So that's very weird.
Because it's I was about to make this point, but me and David Banner, I swear to God, man, we would probably be friends if you lived in my city. I swear to God, man. How many men does she know that have gotten married in foreign countries? Quote, all the men I know that have done that, end quote. Like she knows groups of men that
Probably
have
all her
left the
exes.
USA to get married. And
Probably-
then here's the coup de grace. And of course, that makes them perverts for getting married. We're not talking about sex tourism. And that wasn't even the point, right? So again, she doesn't know what she's talking about because she's too afraid of men based upon what somebody told her in some gender studies course on a campus somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you be more specific?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pervy.
What are your thoughts on 90 Day Fiance or Passport Bros?
The passport bros make sense. I can see why men are incentivized to look elsewhere for more traditional qualities in women.
Did anybody catch the key word there?
Traditional.
Incentivized.
No, incentivized. All right.
Right? Because every living being plus viruses, they only do what they are incentivized to do. Do you know why the Rona gets weaker and weaker as far as putting people in the ground, Cap?
No,
Because it is not a good thing for the virus to kill its host, because if it kills its host and does so too quickly, then it cannot spread itself to other hosts. Its primary objective is to get to the next host. If you kill your host before it can spread you, there has to be some sort of incentive, even for viruses, which are not even officially classified as living beings. So you're going to see the virus is not having the same type of effects on the human genome as it did at the beginning in December 2019, as it is having in February 2023, because the virus is incentivized to keep its hosts alive so it can get more hosts, right? If you look at any being on the planet, any being, if it works out for you and it makes you feel good or it adds to your survival, you're going to do that thing, whatever it is. So when you look in a first world country, then the divorce rate is 70%. If the women were not incentivized by the government to do that, the rates of divorce would not necessarily be so high. So keep your mind right there, folks. What he says is it makes sense. He didn't say everybody should go over there. He just says it makes sense because they're incentivized to do so. Those with certain values are going to go look for people that fit the profile of those values. Now, we already saw for that from the fake blonde Ephanus. She says, I'm not willing to do that job. Okay, well, we're just going to go to the next resume and interview the next applicant. Thank you very much.
90 Day Fiance, though, I think they have a bad record of matching terrible people together.
Ooh, I'm all for passport bros. If you want to go somewhere where they're going to love, respect you, cherish you, cook and clean, and they understand their roles, you should go somewhere where you're loved, because women in today's society, especially modern day women, not all women, it's just you guys forgot your roles. You're supposed to cook, you're supposed to clean, you're supposed to love your partner and take care of his heart and soul, just like men take care of us physically, mentally, and they provide for us. They never forgot their role. So, men, if you want to be a passport bro, I support it 100%. Have fun.
Yeah, she's very. She stands on that square. She stands on that square, Cap. What do you have to say?
Yeah. I mean, kind of taken aback, but yeah, I mean that's logical. I think that's and that's the thing, right? To each their fucking own. If you don't want a traditional marriage, if you're a woman and you want something where you can work with, like that's your choice. But if men want to have the option of finding more traditional women, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yep.
I mean, isn't it sexist if
Ooh,
or
that's a loaded
anti-feminist
term.
if you're not allowing women to pick and choose what they want to do in their life?
Oh
Saying.
yeah, that's a good fucking point, man. That's a good fucking point. And the thing is, when you look at this woman, you wouldn't think that she would kind of have the views that she has, the neck tattoos and these things, right? But she stands on her square, and I have to respect her as much as I respect anybody that really stands by what they believe in. You know what I'm saying?
When it comes to exotic women, what cultures do you prefer and why?
Hispanics, I guess, I like better.
Is your preference based more on looks or behavior?
Right now, I think looks like we're young, so yeah. The only thing
the same.
we think about it, like have fun.
Yep.
I love
I'm
the realness.
Jamaican, so I would naturally prefer my own culture. Why? Because there isn't much of a cultural barrier or language barrier to go over. But also,
That's fair.
there's a stereotype that Asian women are a little bit more traditional, a little bit more feminine. So I'm got my eyes on them as well.
Yo, like,
Shout out to
I
Thing
mean-
too, bro.
yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, my second lady is East Asian. Yeah. And the other guys were talking about Hispanic, right? The first lady is Hispanic.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
fun.
it's really not. It's really not. Yeah, it's not hard to tell. So the thing is, men are gonna want what they want, and like the thing is, he's picturing in his mind right now, like, wow, I would love to have somebody that understands me, but wow, somebody that respects me is so much more appealing than even the appealing situation of having somebody that I am culturally compatible with, right? And then these guys are, and again, when I have these discussions with these women, they always got this pushback. But no matter where you go in the world, men routinely say the same thing.
When the woman and the man have a date, the man is buy everything, and in the American, we share the man and woman share when we have a date.
So you're saying in Vietnam he pays, and in America they split, like they share, they split the money.
Yeah. In the American, you share the money.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you like that? Which is better, Vietnam or in America?
I think it's American is better.
Now, even when you're like, wow, that's not really traditional, she still proves herself to be more appealing than the modern women of this country. And where is she from? Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Why am I saying that, Cap? Or what is your opinion of what she just said? Even better.
I think it's kind of, I mean, obviously English I don't think is her first language, right? So I think there might be a little bit of a language barrier there, but I think, I mean, she's correct in the aspect, right, where it's a little bit more 50-50, right, these days with dates. Back in her country, it's a little bit more traditional. I mean, I have nothing really against it. Like, if that's what she feels, that's what she feels. You know what I mean? Like, I really have, I'm not moved either way. If, like, that's what she thinks better, that's what she thinks is better. You know?
Right. Well, there's two things that stood out to me about this. Number one, when she talked about how they split it and then she likes the way that the dates are split, what she is telling me is I like some of the tenets of being a modern woman But when I call for equality, I actually mean equality. I actually mean real equality, because you get the modern women that are from our side that have a long list of demands but have nothing to offer. When we go on the date, oh, I'm not going on no coffee date. Oh, I'm not going for a walk in the park. No, you better take me to dinner, and you better do this, and you better do that. So even if she is saying, hey, I like having more freedom, she still wants to treat you fairly. And again, like, you just show it time and time and time again why. And the thing is, she's not the most traditional. Like she said, she likes, having her own way, but being fair to each other. And look at where she comes from. And you wonder why the Jamaican guy is like, hey, I love my Jamaican women, but I hear a lot of good things about these Asian women. Let me ask you this question, Kat. And I'm going to ask this to the audience as well. Which would win out for you guys? Somebody that speaks the language that you speak perfectly, and you have an understanding from a cultural perspective, or somebody that you have a little bit of a language barrier, but treats you exactly the way you want to be treated? So let us know, please, which one you value more if you had to make a choice. Kat?
Obviously, if the first one where there's no language barrier, she doesn't give me what I want, I'm not interested, right? So if there's a little bit of a language barrier, maybe she's not as fluent in English, but she really knows how to, please me and like fill my needs. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely choose that. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, option 2 all day.
So again, Xenon is from the middle of the United States. I don't know where David Banner's from. Dan Jensen's in another fucking country, in another time zone somewhere. In fact, is probably close to past his bedtime, right? So, it's one of those things that, again, men, by and large, make decisions along the same banners in Canada, right? Canadians, Americans, Danes, okay? Like, you go anywhere in the world, and men pretty much value the same things. We're going to go through a couple more of these, and then the link to the channels are in the description. It's Tay Baby, her channel is in the description. It's complicated. I'm telling you guys will really love, or some of the interviews will kind of irritate you a little bit, but you guys will absolutely love. So let's just go through 1 or 2 more of these, and we'll sign off. All right?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the woman have a work and the man have a work too. We say it's for fair. Yeah.
She cares about
over
fairness.
there in Italy, it's more like for the family and for the husband, like cook, clean, and all this stuff. Here it's more like, oh, you're a man, you can do it, or like, why have to do it for you when I work? Yeah, but I work too, So if I work and I'm gonna do it, and you work and I'm gonna do it, like, who's gonna clean the house? Who's gonna cook?
Women are definitely equipped with a lot more traditional skills, i.e., cooking, cleaning, and a con, I would say, is they're just as sometimes very assertive or outgoing as some of the males are, and feminism is kind of creeping its way in, just little by little.
What do you think the reason that men are not like satisfied with the women in this country and they're looking elsewhere outside?
Men aren't satisfied with the women in this country? Where are you getting this off of?
Well, Passport Bros and 90 Day Fiance. I mean, obviously, there's a movement about that.
That is the outlier. That is the exception to the rule. I don't think the majority of men are not happy with women in this country.
All right, well, that's a good one to end it on. I think. I mean, listen, it comes from the single lady herself. They're all happy with her. They're all pleased. Come on.
Did you see that fucking spinneroonie she did when she found out that the guys just want to go look for wives elsewhere? Did you see that? Look, I want to be married. Look over here. And then no, I think that's the fringes,
No, it's not. I
right?
hate to tell you, that's why a lot of young men,
The
and
delusion, man.
older
The
men are going into
delusion.
other countries because women like that. And quite frankly, yeah, that is why a lot of men are looking overseas if they can do that. Quite frankly, and I don't blame them. I just don't blame them. I was blessed to find my lady, because it's really hard. And I had high standards. Like I'm not gonna deal with some nails on chalkboard, goofy type shit like that type of behavior. I would Chester betting myself. I would literally Chester betting to myself in like the fastest way. Like I'm all set with that.
Yeah, I'm just, and the thing is, like, I dabble in the dating arena, and of course, I'm not thirsty because I got a good situation, but
No,
looking for a
you
little
treat
bit.
this shit like Pokemon. You gotta catch them all. You know what I mean?
Nah, but like, well, the thing is, like, basically, you could call it the equivalent of just filling out the Pokédex. It's not like somebody that's going to end up in your main lineup. But if you just want to change your pace to somebody to hang out with, like I kind of dabble in it for that reason, right? So I get to see what it is like to be treated super well, and then I get to see the kind of crap that guys are dealing with in the dating arena. And so it is, Xenon is a savage.
Yeah, listen, dude. He wants to have reparations. That's the only way it's gonna happen. So
Hey, man, I've
yeah.
I already got my 13 acres and a mule, in a lot of different ways over the years. KKK people, please don't come to my house. Stay with your burning torches where you are. But anyway, yeah, I get to see the good and the bad across the board. So I know what the guys are kind of going through. And the thing is, there's a lot of good women out there that are swiping left on average men. So they actually make themselves invisible, because there are average men that want to be with average women. Like, not every woman has to be a supermodel, right? Is your girl a supermodel type woman?
No.
Neither of mine are, and I'm fine with them. Like, I have a great life with them, right?
Yeah.
So there's this perception that they're all looking for, Instagram Tatianas, and that's not. A shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. That was his. I picked that up from him. They talking about the Narstagram Tatianas, and it's like, no, a lot of guys will fap to that, but that's not what they actually want. So
no, you want someone that's gonna, you're gonna have a good foster relationship with, and mind you, both of all of our women that we are with are beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm not looking to date a fucking supermodel, like a woman that's like fucking on Instagram every fucking single second. Like, yeah, like you said, that's something you probably fap to, but build of anything of substance with, not so much.
Right.
Not so much.
That's kind of like where I'm at with it. Hey guys, we're going to be doing a lot more of these types of streams. So make sure you hit us up at talkingshitpodcastllc@gmail.com. Why should you do that? Because if you find a video that you're like, holy crap, man, I want to see how TSP handles this type of content, or this particular subject, just say, hey, TSP, I saw this crazy shit. You need to take a look at this. And we'll be like, okay, we'll take a look at it. So I think that it would be really good for you to do that. If you haven't already done so, please hit the goddamn like button. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Dan Jensen's got the right idea. You know what I'm saying? Dan Jensen, you're the man, yo. And then, of course, David Banner's going to take us home with Kat right here.
Friggin' the cold takes and the hot truths. So, man, we're excited to bring you a lot of content. We got a lot of things planned. We're going to be cutting it a little bit around an hour today because my hip is fucking killing me. So, but I appreciate everyone that's popped in through the chat, really had a conversation. Good reactions, and definitely look for a lot of this stuff on the channel, whether it be live or recorded.
Well, And that's the bottom line.